The wind howled through the dense forest as three figures crept toward the crumbling fortress perched on a rocky hill. Gumus led the way, his hand, axe, and shield glinting faintly in the moonlight. Behind him, Drea clutched her bow, her dark eyes scanning for movement, while Arkin moved with practiced silence, his twin blades ready at his sides. They had heard the rumors of the hobgoblins that plagued the region, and tonight they would put an end to it. The fortress loomed larger as they approached. Its ancient stone walls were jagged and weathered, covered in creeping vines. The entrance, a massive iron-bound door, stood ajar, beckoning them in. Gumus raised his hand to signal a halt. "Stay close," he whispered, his green eyes sharp with focus. "We move as one." Drea smirked, sparks of electricity dancing across her fingertips. "Don't worry about me. Just make sure you're not biting off more than you can chew." Arkin glanced at them both, his expression calm but serious. "Let's not underestimate them. Hobgoblins are cunning, and this place feels wrong." With a nod, Gumus stepped forward. The group moved into the shadow of the door, only for Drea to suddenly cry out. The wooden frame erupted into motion, morphing into a grotesque creature with gnashing teeth and tentacle-like limbs. A mimic. "Drea!" Gumus roared, slamming his shield into the creature as it lunged for her. Drea staggered back, her robe singed where acidic saliva had splattered. She recovered quickly, electricity surging from her hands. "Not today!" she snarled, hurling a crackling bolt at the mimic. The creature screeched, writhing in pain as Arkin darted forward, his blades slicing through its sinewy limbs with precision. Within moments, the mimic collapsed into a lifeless heap, its monstrous form dissolving into a puddle of slime. Breathing heavily, Drea leaned against the wall. "Thanks. That thing almost had me." "You're not getting rid of us that easily," Gumus said, offering her a hand. "Let's move before something else shows up." Inside the fortress, the air was thick with dampness and decay. The trio found themselves in a massive octagonal chamber. 8 corridors stretched out in every direction, and in the center stood a strange statue of a hooded figure, its hands outstretched as if offering something unseen. "I don't like this," Arkin muttered, his dark eyes darting from one corridor to the next. "Feels like a trap." Drea stepped closer to the statue, her curiosity overriding caution. "It's enchanted," she said, her voice tinged with awe. "But I can't tell what kind of magic." "Careful," Gumus warned, his shield raised. "We've had enough surprises." Ignoring him, Drea raised her hands, summoning glowing celestial dogs that sniffed the air and padded toward the statue. As they neared, the statue's eyes flared red. A deep rumble echoed through the chamber. "Move!" Arkin shouted, but it was too late. The statue erupted in a fiery explosion, consuming the celestial dogs and sending a shockwave through the room. The heroes were thrown to the ground, debris raining around them. Coughing, Gumus scrambled to his feet. "Everyone okay?" "I'm fine," Drea said, though her voice was shaky. Her robes were scorched, and her dark hair was singed at the edges. Arkin helped her up, his face pale but resolute. "We've got company." From the smoke-filled corridors, 8 hobgoblins emerged, their weapons gleaming. They snarled and charged, their guttural war cries echoing off the stone walls. "Hold the line!" Gumus bellowed, raising his shield to block the first strike. The clash of steel filled the chamber as he fought with ferocious strength, his short sword darting in and out like a viper. Arkin flanked him, his dual blades flashing as he struck with deadly precision. Drea stood behind them, her hands crackling with electricity. She unleashed a torrent of lightning that arced between the hobgoblins, leaving several convulsing on the ground. But the hobgoblins kept coming, their sheer numbers overwhelming. "We can't hold this position," Drea shouted, parrying a savage blow. Fall back, Gumus ordered, shoving a hobgoblin away with his shield. The trio retreated, fighting every step of the way. Once outside, they sprinted into the forest, the sounds of pursuit fading as they found refuge beneath the cover of trees. Panting, Drya collapsed onto a fallen log. That was too close. Gumus knelt beside her, his face grim. We need a new plan. That fortress is more than just a hobgoblin hideout. Arkin, leaning against a tree, nodded. Something stirs in there, something powerful. As they spoke, the ground beneath them trembled faintly. In the distance, the fortress seemed to pulse, its walls glowing faintly with an ominous red light. The three friends exchanged uneasy glances. Whatever it is, Gumus said, tightening his grip on his sword, we'll face it together. Drya managed a tired smile. Always. Arkin smirked. Let's just make sure we live long enough to regret this. With that, the trio settled into the shadows of the forest, preparing for the battle yet to come. The fortress loomed behind them, alive and waiting.